Welcome to Jeffrey Thomas on Air, and today we are very honoured to have with us to discuss MH370 the US wreck hunter Blaine Gibson, who has done an amazing job finding a quantity of debris related to MH370. But more importantly, Blaine has raised the profile amongst locals on the African coast and the surrounding islands to look out for debris for MH370. Now, Blaine, welcome to Jeffrey Thomas on Air. We're getting pretty close, hopefully, to a launch of a new search, but the Malaysians vacillate. So, why is it so important we find MH370?
Well, it's good to be here, Jeffrey, at this very important time, and thank you so much for inviting me. Everything that I have done to find floating debris from MH370 will be in vain if we do not renew the search and find the plane, because the debris gives us an indication of where the plane is, and we need more evidence to know exactly where to look. And we have that evidence now. We have the oceanographic drift analysis of University of Western Australia, the WHISPER data, the Inmarsat data, all lining up to one area, a relatively small area, and we need to renew the search and find the plane. And here are the reasons it's so important. For one, we must give the families the answers that they deserve. But it's not just for the families. They themselves have told me this is about aviation safety. This is about the flying public. It's not just about us. So we need to renew the search, find the plane, discover what happened to it, by who, how, and why, so that we can be sure that nothing like this ever happens again.
Look, indeed, and why do you think though that previous searches have failed to find MH370? Because we have had that drift analysis before, we've had the Inmarsat data, but two searches so far have failed to find it.
The previous searches, the first one was too far south. It did not include the University of Western Australia drift analysis area at all. The second search included it, but was too narrow to the seventh arc. They needed to search wider in the University of Western Australia area, which is along the seventh arc from about 28 degrees south to about 33 degrees south. So that's why the two previous searches failed. They missed it. They didn't miss it by a lot, and they need to go back and revisit any areas, any data holidays and gaps, and they need to search new areas wider from the seventh arc.
And also this new search area that you refer to also includes going wider, captures the area identified by Richard Godfrey, the UK aerospace engineer who's done an enormous amount of work on this project. And going wider picks up his WHISPER area too, which is consistent with the Inmarsat data and, of course, consistent with the drift analysis done by the University of Western Australia.
Exactly. The University of Western Australia drift analysis is what guided me in my search for floating 370 debris. Professor Charitha Pattiaratchi told me where to look and when, and I did. And I found and collected from local people about 22 pieces of the plane. However, the University of Western Australia area is very large. It needs to be narrowed down with the Inmarsat data, and it has now been narrowed down significantly by the WHISPER work of Richard Godfrey, Hannes Coetzee, Robert Westphal, and Simon Maskell. And that is where I think most likely the aircraft is. They should search that area, and if it isn't there, they should search the rest of the UWA area going south, wider from the seventh arc, and
Now,
continue on south until the plane is found. That is what I recommend.
look, indeed. Now, the thing though is, Ocean Infinity presented a new search proposal to the Malaysians in May of this year. We're now in the last hours of November. Why are the Malaysians stalling on this? What do you believe is the issue here? It should really, given the information that you know and that we know, and Richard Godfrey, it should be a no-brainer, particularly on a no find, no fee basis.
It is a no-brainer, and those words exactly were used by a 370 family member to describe the position of Malaysia in this search. It's a no-brainer. It's no find, no fee. Malaysia only pays if the aircraft is found. So why are they stalling? I'd say it's a combination of reasons. I think that Minister Loke is really trying to push it through the cabinet, but he's up against some budget and political pressures. And for one thing, there are some people in Malaysia and other parts of the world who appear to not want MH370 found at all. There are others who simply do not want to be bothered and just forget about it, put it on the back burner, and hope that it goes away. And so there are also others who are simply worried about money and think that it is not worth it to go ahead with a search, even if the plane is found. So it's a combination of those forces. Some don't want it found at all. Some just don't want to be bothered. And some just don't want to pay for it.
It's interesting, that the man's desire, humans' desire to find things is overwhelming. We found the Titanic, we found the Bismarck, we found HMS Hood. We find all sorts of things because our curiosity drives us to find answers to questions that remain unanswered. Whether it's a Spanish galleon full of treasure or whether it's Amelia Earhart in the Pacific. We just want answers. We just love a who done it type of film, if you like. And so the Malaysians, to me, they should realize this. They should understand this dynamic and know that somebody is going to find this airplane, and they would be far, far better off if they controlled the whole situation and not suddenly find themselves having to backpedal with somebody else finding it and they don't control it.
That is exactly true. And that's why they should accept Ocean Infinity's offer now and resume the search and find the plane. And there may be some people in Malaysia who say, oh, well, we just don't want to be bothered, blah, blah, blah. The truth is that there are right now a lot of crazy claims and very hurtful conspiracy theories revolving around Malaysia 370. It's become almost like the 9/11 truthers and the JFK assassination and the President Obama birthers, wild conspiracy theories. Once the aircraft is found, the where, when that is known, almost all of the conspiracy theories will go away. And then we have tremendous capability now to search for and find, recover, and analyze the wreckage. And that will give us the answers of the who, how, what, and why. As that's not just knowing the truth, that's also having the proof. So this needs to be put behind us. Malaysia needs to get it behind them. And you are very correct. As long as they offer the contract, then they have some control and some say and knowledge from the search. So they should sign it and start the search right away.
My talking conspiracy theories and digressing ever so slightly, Blaine, as you know, and some viewers may not know, there's over 120 books written about the disappearance of MH370. And of course, those books, when every time they've come out, have sent the poor relatives left behind on a ghastly roller coaster ride because they don't understand aviation and they believe some of these theories, which are just completely nuts. But getting back to Ocean Infinity, my sense with them, and I've met them in London and discussed MH370 with them, my sense is, and they said to me, MH370 is unfinished business. I feel that if Malaysia doesn't sign, then they're going to move off and search anyway, because the kudos they would earn from the global community of finding this aircraft and bringing closure to those loved ones would be huge. Look, indeed, and uh, as we mentioned earlier, the mystery surrounding MH370, all the conspiracy theories, will finding the wreckage put an end to that? Because we've still got to get the black boxes off the ocean floor. We also then have to be able to read those black boxes, and the only yardstick we've got for this, a guide to this, is Air France 447 that crashed in the mid-Atlantic in 2009. They didn't find the wreckage of that aircraft, although they knew exactly where it went down. They didn't find the
Mm-hmm.
wreckage for 3 years,
Yes.
but they were able to read the cockpit voice recorder and the digital flight data recorder after 3 years. But can we read them after 11 years? And it'll be 11 years almost by the time they search and find it and recover it. That's another question. So it may be the conspiracy theories keep on going, Blaine.
Well, the conspiracy theories, the crazy ones, are going to keep on going no matter what. There are still people who deny the lunar landing and say it was fake. So
Yeah.
there are still people who say that the Earth is flat and that the sun revolves around it. There's no way you're ever going to convince people like that. There's probably no way you're ever going to convince people who absolutely claim without a doubt that the plane was shot down in the South China Sea or landed in Kazakhstan or landed in Diego Garcia or something like that. You're never going to be able to convince them.
Mm.
However, I believe that recovering the wreckage, especially the black boxes, will tell us a lot. If the data is recoverable from the black boxes, and it can be recoverable for 10 and more years, as long as the seal isn't broken.
Yes.
So if the black boxes are recovered and data is recoverable, it'll tell us a lot. It'll tell us about whether there was any accident or fire that caused the original turnaround. It'll tell us when it was manually flown and autopiloted. It will tell us the exact route. It will tell us if anyone was flying the plane at the end, because there's a lot of debate over that. So all of the rational people who believe in science and evidence, I believe, will be convinced.
Yes.
And even if the black boxes are not recovered, the location alone will tell us a lot.
Mm.
And
look,
also will give the families the answers they deserve. Wreckage will also be able to show us if there was indeed a ditching or if it was a high-speed crash, and a lot of other things that they can analyze from the debris to determine what it is. They can look at the cargo and see if the cargo is what it was said to be. So that will put a lot of those conspiracy theories to rest, and I believe the wreckage alone will give us the answer of whether this was a deliberate act or not.
now talking of wreckage, you've been at the absolute forefront leading the search to find wreckage. But my understanding, Blaine, is there's some wreckage that you have found and maybe some wreckage that others have found that still has not been properly investigated by the Malaysians. Is that correct? And why?
That is exactly correct. The Annex 13 report has 33 pieces of debris in it, and I found about 6 or 7 of those myself and collected the rest from other local people. I believe that 18 of those 33 I'm responsible for handing in. The others were found by private citizens totally unrelated to me in 6 different countries.
Yep.
So this is very compelling evidence. There are an additional 10 pieces of debris found by 6 and more different people in 6 different countries that have never been analyzed by Malaysia in spite of having been reported. One is the Jeffreys Bay spoiler from South Africa, which could tell us a lot, was found washed ashore in late 2020, delivered to Malaysia in 2021, and they've done nothing with it. 4 pieces of debris that I have found and collected from local people have been handed in. One is in Madagascar, 3 are in Malaysia, and nothing has been done by Malaysia with those. The most recent 2 pieces are very significant. One of them is sitting in Madagascar, waiting to be delivered to Malaysia, and all Malaysia has to do is pay for the delivery. It's still sitting in Madagascar for more than a year. Another one I hand delivered to Malaysia myself, and I had it analyzed privately by expert engineers and composite specialists who said that it is of aviation origin, consistent with materials used to build a Boeing 777, and they believed that it was from Malaysia 370. After that private examination, I got it back. I handed it to the 370 families, and they handed it in on March 8, 2024, to Malaysian authorities for investigation. Still, nothing has been done. Now, some people incorrectly, falsely claimed that that debris was from a yacht. It was not. It is aviation debris. It could tell us something very significant, those 2 pieces, about how the plane impacted the water. But Malaysia just doesn't want to be bothered delivering it or investigating it and publishing it.
It's very, very concerning, Blaine, because this is, I think anyway, consistent with their lack of interest in finding the aircraft, because they haven't signed this contract and they're wasting a couple of good summer months in the southern hemisphere to search. It fits a pattern of, we just want this to go away. We don't want to bother investigating any more debris. We don't want to bother doing this. And I wish these ocean infinity people would just go away. And I wish Blaine Gibson would go away, and Richard Godfrey would go away, and also Jeffrey Thomas would go away, because I know they're not happy with some of the things that I've said about their commitment to this search. But it is very, very concerning, isn't it?
It is very concerning, and it is consistent with their, at least many of them, just wanting it to go away. They have ignored the last 4 pieces of debris that I have collected from local people and handed in. They have totally ignored it. They've ignored 6 others. That is consistent with their stalling for 6 months and not signing this Ocean Infinity search contract in spite of Minister Loke saying that this is credible new evidence
That
of
was
the
always the
aircraft's location.
that was always the key, wasn't it? It's not credible. It's not credible. Now he says it is credible. So all of a sudden, he really has triggered what we would have liked to have thought was a commitment to find MH370.
Yes, a commitment to find MH370, the truth and the proof. And
Yep.
frankly, the four uh, pieces of debris that I have collected and handed in pale in significance to the need to restart the search and find the aircraft. But their behavior in not signing the Ocean Infinity contract and not investigating this key debris is consistent with
Yep.
just wanting it to go away and not be bothered. And that is very, very sad.
Look, indeed. And on that note, Blaine, let's hope we do get some positive news. Thank you very much indeed for joining us today on the search for MH370. You've done an amazing job of keeping the profile of the crash front and center, and of course, collecting all that debris, uh, raising the profile of the debris with the locals. Your work has been instrumental in getting us to where we are today. So thank you very much indeed. And until next time, thank you, Blaine Gibson.
Well, thank you, and thank you for all of your work to bring this to the attention of people and advocate another search. It needs to start, and it needs to start now.
I couldn't agree more. Take care. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a like, and please add some comments. Thank you.